Okay, they tell me the best way to get started with these things is just to get started. So that's what I am doing this evening. I am getting started with a new vlog channel that I wanted to create. I've been wanting to do this for a little while. I've been feeling the urge to create again. I've created in various aspects throughout my life, and I've kind of feeling the urge to do it again. And also, I wanted to work on my video production skills. I have another channel called Outdoors with Dusty and Terry that's really kind of fallen off. It was an outdoor channel that we did, that my wife and I did together. A lot of camping videos, motorcycle riding videos. And it fell off mostly because my video production skills were so terrible that it took me like a whole weekend to put together a single video, and I really wanted to kind of improve that and make that better. So I thought the best way to do that is to create videos often, and I want to talk about gaming, I want to talk about game development, things like that. So I figured, what the heck, let's create a vlog and start putting some videos out, and let's do this thing. So who am I? My name is Dusty Monk. The introduction is probably unnecessary for the first dozen of you that actually come to this channel and watch this video, because you're all either relatives or family or good friends who all already know me. But maybe in time, some of you won't have already met me and don't know me. So, here's a little bit about who I am and why I'm creating this vlog video thing. So I have been making games for over 25 years now. I've been gaming, but also in game development for over 25 years. I started at Midway Home Entertainment back in the early 90s, mid 90s. I worked on Hydro Thunder. I worked on a couple of arcade games that, if you're very old, you may remember. I worked on Ready to Rumble Boxing. I also worked on Blitz 99. So I worked at a number of different arcade games. That was back in San Diego. And then I came to Texas and started working at Ensemble Studios in the very, very early 2000s. And I worked on Age of Mythology, Age of Empires 2, and then, of course, Halo Wars. In 2009, Microsoft shut us down. And a number of people went on to create other studios. I created my own studio called Windstorm Studios, and I created a standalone third-person vehicular shooter game called Atomic City Adventures and The Case of the Black Dragon. And I was very proud of it. It took me 2 years to create, did the entire thing on my own. I contracted for modeling and animation, but I did all the level editing and I did all the game design, did all the programming. And then in 2012, I went to work for Robot Entertainment, and that's where I currently work today. I am the tech director at Robot Entertainment. We have shipped Orcs Must Die 2. I've worked on Orcs Must Die 2 and Orcs Must Die 3, Orcs Must Die Unchained, and most recently just announced, literally this week, we just announced that our newest Orcs Must Die game, Orcs Must Die Death Trap. It's very exciting, and I will definitely be promoting that and talking about that a little bit later on some other channels, not tonight, but yeah, for sure. But in addition to just game development, and I will talk about game development here on this blog at various times. I'll talk about programming because that's mostly what I do, but also about technical leadership and things like that. But also I'm an avid gamer, and I have been gaming for as long as I've been making games. And mostly I play MMOs, it's RPGs as well. And recently I've gotten into gacha games, sadly, but I have been playing a lot more of those. And as a matter of fact, that's the game I'm going to talk about tonight by way of having an actual subject for this video this evening. So yeah, I played a ton of MMOs. And in fact, the reason that this video channel is called I'm Still Playing is, 10, 15 years ago, I created a blog called Of Course I'll Play It. And at that time, I was playing pretty much MMOs only, but I played all the MMOs. I'd written and looked it up, and my last blog post was from 2016, where I said I'm going to go over to Facebook and start doing blogs and use Facebook pages as my vehicle for blogs. That lasted, I think, maybe like 6 months. But it got me to thinking, one of the things that I really want to sort of express in this video is that games and game development and gamers, we're all, we're growing up, we're getting old. I'm 59 years old, but I'm still avidly playing computer games. Even as recently as as far back as 10 years ago, the average age of a gamer is 34 years old. So those of you that just might be parents or relatives who don't really know about a lot about what it is that I do, grown-ass adults are all making video games and playing video games, and we will be until we can't sit at the keyboard with a mouse and keyboard anymore, which for me is going to be a really long frickin' time. I decided, and thinking about what I wanted to call this vlog, this video channel, this YouTube channel, I'm still playing. I'm still here, and that's what this channel is going to be about. It's going to be about the fact that I'm still playing games. I hope you're still playing games. I hope you're having fun doing it, and that you don't feel pressured at any point in your life. I don't care if you're 18 or 20 or 24. You know, people used to tell me get a life when I told them that I was making video games, and I'm like, I have a life. That is my life. It's just not what you would consider, you know, your life. But that kind of judgment just shouldn't fly, and it shouldn't keep you from doing whatever the hell it is you want to do. So in the meantime, I'm going to start creating these videos and hopefully get my message across to you guys that it's okay to be old and still like to play games and still be playing games. And that's a huge kind of a theme, I guess, of a video channel called I'm Still Frickin' Playing. And that's that. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about what I've been playing lately. And sad to say, I've been bitten by the gacha bug pretty heavily. So I started with Arknights probably 2 years ago, 3 years ago, even as far back. And Arknights was the first gacha game that I played that really kind of clicked. As a traditional PC gamer and a little bit of console gamer, but mostly a PC gamer, pretty much all mobile games just crap as far as I'm concerned. They just rolled right off. I would attempt them, and there wasn't any real game there, I felt like, and they were so heavily laden with monetization techniques that they just didn't bite for me. But it turns out they're pretty big. And gacha games, yeah, right. So I played Genshin Impact when it first launched a little bit. I didn't even play it on mobile. I played it on the PlayStation, and it had the kind of things that I would think would enjoy. But I don't know. I got distracted by something else bright and shiny, and I didn't really have my gacha game armor built up yet. And that's really important when you're playing gacha games, right? Is you have to have that mentality to recognize the predatory monetization techniques for what they are in those games, and to let that wash over you, and to find a way to enjoy the game anyway. And so Arknights was the first one that really kind of stuck. Once I got past, and man, there are some great YouTubers out there that really helped me through Arknights. I still highly recommend it, and especially if you like lore and story in your game, and you don't mind reading it, because all of the story in Arknights is delivered by panels that are that basically you read. It's just a single animation or single frame of a very cool concept drawing that depicts the characters that are talking, and then lots and lots of text that you're reading. A little bit of history. So anyway, Arknights was the one that kind of built up my gacha armor. And those of you that play gacha games, you know what I'm talking about. And then Honkai Star Rail came out, and man, what a beautiful game. And I sunk deep into Honkai Star Rail. Played it heavily. Doled out some bucks. I'm still mostly a free-to-play player, or a casual free-to-play player, but I buy the season pass, and man, I pulled and got Seele right off the bat. Of course, I haven't played since Penacony 2.2, so I finished 2.2. I think 2.3 is out. I will go back to Honkai Star Rail at some point, I'm sure. But in the meantime, a game came out from kind of nowhere called Wuthering Waves, and I'm like, okay, well, I saw the teasers and I thought, this looks really pretty. And it was on the PC, and it was, and so I went ahead and downloaded it and checked it out. And man, I'm here to tell you, Wuthering Waves, it's still, right now, my most favorite game to play 2 months after its launch. 2 months, I think, 3 months after its launch. And I am playing it daily, every single day. And that's what daily means, in case you weren't sure. And I want to talk about why Wuthering Waves has stuck for me, and I'm especially talking to you if you're a PC gamer or a console gamer who doesn't play mobile games, and you've kind of dismissed mobile games and gacha games as being, you know, just money grabs. Because for the most part, you're 100% right. That's exactly what they are. But as a long time PC gamer, Wuthering Waves, it's a terrible title, but it's a fantastic game, really grabbed me because it has some fantastic PC-like RPG game elements to it. And for instance, and I know there are some other type of MMOs that have, or not MMOs, but other games that have some of these same elements in them that I haven't necessarily played that are probably every bit as much fun. And what I'm talking about is world traversal. Now, Typically, world traversal is very mundane, and most of the time, what you're doing is you're begging for a mount or some other way to traverse the world in a faster way, or you're hoping they have more fast travel spots that you can instantly travel to because world traversal is by far and large a pain. And if you've come from backgrounds of World of Warcraft or even Dragon Age Inquisition or any Final Fantasy, all of those games, they finally, they introduced mounts. They've had them for a long time, and then they had flying mounts and then they even made, like in Dragonflight expansion, they made flying fun. Guild Wars 2, of course, has its mounts, which are actually like strongly physics based and drive like vehicles, and they're really good. But most of those games, the mounts are introduced as a way to sort of shortchange world traversal because you spend all the time running around on foot, and it's a giant pain. And in Wuthering Waves, world traversal is an absolute joy. I mean, for one thing, going to sidebar here a little bit, the game itself is also gorgeous, and that is hugely important to me. I've always been one of those gamers that is really drawn by aesthetics, and character aesthetics, and environment aesthetics, and just a really well-polished experience where the game looks beautiful. And if the game looks kind of half-ass or unfinished or even just very simple, I'm not as drawn to it, even if the mechanics are fantastic. And it's really important in whatever MMO or RPG that I'm playing that my character looks good. And I spend tons of time on transmogs and trying to make my character look as good as I possibly can. And so it's for this game, for Wuthering Waves, to be an absolute gorgeous art direction, just unbelievable. The environments are amazing, the characters are amazing. So that drew me in to begin with. But then once I started playing it and playing in their open world, they adopt a number of mechanics that I hadn't, well, at least one mechanic that I hadn't seen before, and several that I had, but only in different games and at different times. So for instance, you can run straight up the side of any cliff, which is huge because you don't have to look for some other means to get up. If you are standing on the bottom and you need to get up to the top of a cliff, you just point your character at it, hit shift, and up the side of the cliff she goes. And it's fantastic. And then they even added animations so that when your character gets to the top of a particular cliff, she can flip over. She has a custom animation to flip around the overhang and then still get up on top, which is a really nice little polish touch. Additionally, and then of course they have several of the mechanics in World Traversal that you have seen in other games, like gliding and grappling. They had the grappling hook. You can grapple to nothing on a 4-second cooldown, so you can just out there and then lift up and then glide down to a stop. Then the world really rewards exploration. And I think this is the case in probably Genshin Impact. Like I said, I didn't play a lot of Genshin Impact, so I've had a lot of people come tell me like, yeah, Dusty, if you'd have played Genshin, then, what the hell? It's been doing this for years. But for me, most of this is new and is a great combination of these things. I also know Breath of the Wild, another game that I haven't played because I don't own a Switch and never have. But I know that it has a very similar aesthetic for its world design and very similar world traversal techniques. And so if Breath of the Wild players, please don't come at me. I know your game is great. But this is the first time I've experienced most of these elements together in a game. And man, it's fantastic. It really makes me, the fact that they reward exploration and then the world traversal itself is just such a joy. It keeps me coming back to play day after day, even after I've spent all of my daily grind energy material. In addition to having a beautiful world and having an amazing aesthetic, and then the traversal being there and just being amazingly fun to play. The last part, well, maybe the next to last part that I want to talk about is also really important, is there's no autoplay. And autoplay is a double-edged sword in gacha games and mobile games, and it's almost mandatory for most gacha games because all of these gacha games rely on a certain amount of gameplay and then, of course, an excessive amount of grinding. They all have 15 different currencies, 140 types of materials that you have to gather. And part of the gacha armor is embracing that complex, convoluted, overly large material list and inventory list and all of the different currencies that you have to deal with and the energy that you have to deal with. Sort of just, being okay with all of that. And so almost all of these games have an autoplay mode. And for instance, in Honkai Star Rail, once you completed the main story, then and even while you're playing the main story, you can begin to autoplay, and then you just autoplay your way through the game. And really, only the hardest part of the game even requires you to actually play. And by that time, I'm so detached from the actual intricacies of the mechanics of all my characters that I don't do very well because I haven't been really forced to learn the intricacies of, how that how Archeron can promote, players up the chain, or how to gather her particular currency that she uses in order to fuel her ultimate, which is different than the energy that all the other characters use. And yeah, while I'm playing the character in the game, I kind of get into that and track it and understand it. But then once I'm, detached or not playing it, I'm like, press autoplay, and away she goes. And I just know that she kicks everybody's asses and blows things up in a great fast fashion. So, but man, I get into a mode with the autoplay games where I just log in and I autoplay my way through all my dailies, and then I make sure I spend all my daily currency, and then I've got that spent, and I see my progress on the season pass, and then I log back out, and then I go play something else. And that only lasts for so long, typically, and then I'm distracted by something else bright and shiny, and I go off and play something else. So Wuthering Waves doesn't have that, at least at this point. You can't autoplay. You're required to sit at the keyboard with the mouse and drive your characters and swap them out. And I feel like I know Verena and Jinsei and Havoc Rover better than I knew any of my Honkai Star Rail characters. Oh, and Yinlin, because you gotta pull for Yinlin, of course. Are you done staring? So that's a huge appeal to me, and I wonder if Honkai Star Rail hadn't have had autoplay, how much longer I might have stayed with the game or would be more interested in coming back to the game. I intend for these things to be about 15-20 minutes. My goal is to do them at least twice a week, maybe even more often. We'll just see. Like I said, a huge part of the importance of this is that I get the editing down and get these things put together. So I think we're going to wrap it up with my diatribe on Honkai. I keep doing that. My diatribe on Wuthering Waves. Again, right now it's the best game not best game, but it is the game I'm spending the most time with right now. Still having a great time with it. Can't wait to pull for Shangli. She drops tomorrow. New banner. Very excited. Next time, I want to talk about the expansion for World of Warcraft, which is coming out very soon. The pre-patch event is going to happen in just a couple of days. I've already booted up my World of Warcraft account and dusted it off and started cleaning out my bags and doing all of the things that you have to do in order to get prepared for the next expansion. So very excited about that. We'll chat about that next time. But I think for now, this is all we'll do for today. Thank you again for coming by, and like, subscribe, etc. If you would. I don't know that I'm going to try to monetize this or not, but certainly I would love for you guys to show me your appreciation or at least encourage me to continue making these videos by liking and subscribing. Thanks, everyone.